I tricked my cheating soon-to-be ex-wife into thinking I was the one cheating, then I completely ghosted her like some kind of ninja, and finally, I cut her loose on Christmas Day. This story's pretty long, so grab a snack and some time because it covers everything from late 2019 all the way up to just last week. Just so you know, all the names are changed for privacy. Alright, here's the backstory. My soon-to-be ex-wife, let's call her Sue, was my high school sweetheart. We started dating back in 1992 when we were both 17. Now we're both 45, and we'd been together that whole time. She's the only woman I've ever been with in my life. We got married 5 years later when we were 22, right after college. A year after that, we had our first kid, 2 boys, now aged 22 and 17. 23 years I gave her everything. I built her a house and worked my tail off to give her the life she wanted. Sure, we had our rough patches, but what marriage doesn't? Even during the worst times, we always found a way to get through it and come out stronger. That's why finding out about her affair hit me so damn hard. Flashback to March 2020, when I first started feeling like something was wrong. For a couple of months before that, we'd been in a rough spot. I was recovering from reconstructive knee surgery. I'd blown out my ACL in the fall of 2019, and at that time, I only had about 55% movement in my knee. It really took a toll on everything at home. I was on workers' compensation because of the injury at work, and I couldn't do the usual chores around the house. Stuff piled up. My sons helped where they could, but there were certain things only I could handle, so they had to wait or Sue had to do them, and she wasn't happy about it. Things between us had slowed way down in the bedroom, too. Even before my injury, our intimacy was fading, but once I was hurt, it stopped altogether. During those months, Sue started spending more time with her coworkers after work. From November 2019 through March 2020, it was a regular thing for her to hang out with them. At first, I didn't think much of it. After 23 years together, I never had a reason to doubt or mistrust her. We each had our own friends and sometimes hung out separately, and that was always fine. But around January, I started noticing something different. Sue became distant. We were already in a funk, sure, but she began refusing me affection altogether. The usual hugs and kisses just stopped. Her phone, which had always been glued to her hand, suddenly became something she guarded carefully. Before, she'd always share cool stuff she found online, recipes, DIY ideas, funny memes, but now she was secretive with it. Even talking to me got sharp, like she didn't want to be bothered. By March, COVID-19 had shut down New York City, but since we worked essential jobs, either of us had to work from home. I'd just gotten cleared to go back to work after 5 months of being sidelined, and I was pumped to get moving again. I'm really into physical stuff. I'm a martial artist and usually hit the gym 4 days a week, plus I handle a lot of home projects. But then Sue told me she'd have to start working extra hours again. I figured it'd be maybe every other day, but it ended up being every single day, and not just for a bit. She'd come home 3 or more hours later than usual, jump in the shower, spend a little time with me, then a little with our youngest son and his girlfriend, and then go straight to bed. As my knee got better and I could support myself more, we started getting intimate again, but it was clear she wasn't really there mentally or emotionally. I noticed it right away. By early April, everything started to add up. All signs pointed to her having an affair. I decided I needed to find out the truth. I started Googling signs of cheating and sure enough, Sue was ticking every box. Then I moved on to figuring out how to find proof. I checked her social media. Her Facebook from months before was filled with the usual pictures of us, our boys, her friends, and nights out with coworkers. But there was one guy who kept showing up in these photos. He was way too close to her, arm around her shoulder, hand on her lower back, stuff that just didn't feel right for a guy I'd never met. So, naturally, I looked up this guy on Facebook, and wouldn't you know it, I was blocked. How does that make sense? He's friends with Sue, but I can't see his profile? That set off alarm bells. At that point, I wasn't even trying to convince myself otherwise. I knew she was cheating with this guy. I just wanted to find out how long it had been going on. From April through May, I dug deeper. I had access to our family phone plan data, and I found out that besides me, the number Sue texted the most from October 2019 to April 2020 was this mystery guy's number. I looked him up and confirmed it was the same dude from the pictures, the one who blocked me on Facebook. We'll call him P. Their texts were messy because Sue was deleting a lot of messages, but I still couldn't find a solid smoking gun. I needed more proof. That's when I told my best friend everything. He asked if I'd confronted her, and I said no, I didn't think I had enough. Then he told me about an app that lets you spy on someone's messages in real time. I won't say the name here, but I got it installed on her phone, synced it with my data, and waited. Within days I saw it, a text conversation between them about how much fun they had the night before and plans to hang out again that weekend. That hit me like a punch to the gut. I was devastated. That was my D-Day. For the next 2 days I was broken. I kept my distance from her. She noticed and tried to comfort me, asking what was wrong, but I just brushed her off. I couldn't even look at her. The woman I'd given 23 years of my life to had cheated on me with a guy just 5 years older than our oldest son. By the 3rd day, I wasn't sad anymore. I was furious. I called my friend Oz to confirm what I'd found. He asked if I'd confronted her, and again I said no. I told him I wanted payback, not just a divorce. I wanted to ruin her life. I wanted to tear her world apart. It wasn't going to happen overnight, but I was planning it. From my research on cheating, I found a quote that stuck with me. The enemy of infidelity is unpredictability. That became my motto. I was going to make her life hell while quietly planning my escape. By early June, I still had the spying app running. Every night, I collected data. Their texts were full-blown relationship stuff, sexting, romantic talk, even nudes. I stopped reading all that. It was poison. I just saved it all on my private server. Meanwhile, I started acting differently. I'd go out at weird times and come home later than she did. When she asked what I was up to, I just said, "Stuff," and put my phone away. I also changed all my passwords so she couldn't get into my accounts. For our whole marriage, we never hid anything from each other, but right around when her affair started, she changed her Facebook and phone passwords, claiming it was because of security breaches. Yeah, right, nice cover for hiding her cheating. I looped in Oz, my older sister, and 2 close friends, people I trust completely, and swore them to secrecy. Oz and I have been friends since childhood, and Joey and Na since high school. Heads up, Na comes back into the story later. By July, Sue was full-on paranoid. She was texting and calling me all the time, asking when I'd be home, what I was doing, and all that. I could tell the seed I planted in her head the month before was starting to grow, especially in how she talked to P. She was opening up to him, telling him she was confused and doubting everything, saying I'd grown cold and distant. The nerve of this woman. Meanwhile, during these chats, she even suggested they stop meeting at our house because she wasn't sure if I might just show up. Yeah, she actually admitted she'd been sneaking this guy into our home. Thanks, Sue. P asked if she was worried that I might be cheating on her. That actually pissed her off. I can't even describe how much joy I got from reading that. My cheating wife arguing with her affair partner about whether she was mad that her husband might be cheating on her. What a joke. Now, just so you know, when I left the house, I wasn't hooking up with anyone. Usually, I was just hanging out at my buddies' places, Oz or Joey's, throwing back some beers, watching fights, spending time with my brothers, or at my big sister's house with her and my uncle, who's more like an older brother to me. My sister is 52, and her husband is 58. She knew about Sue's cheating, but I didn't tell them about my plan because he can't keep a secret. Fast forward to October, that's when things really heated up. I'd been pretending to have an affair for about 3 months, and Sue was hyper-aware that I was pulling away. From the moment I started my plan to the day she finally confronted me, October 20th, 2020. I hadn't even touched her. No hugs, no kisses, no intimacy. Not that she needed it, she was still seeing P, just not at our house anymore, but at his place or motels. That afternoon, she called me at work. It wasn't unusual for her to call, but it hadn't happened in a while. She asked me to come straight home, saying she had something important to tell me. Honestly, I half thought she might confess to everything, but of course she didn't. When I got home, the first thing she asked was if I was unhappy with her. The nerve! She said I'd been spending too much time away, wasn't showing her affection, and that our sex life had completely died. She told me she was worried I was pushing her away because I resented how she treated me while I was rehabbing my knee. Then she dropped the bomb. She asked if I was cheating on her. Folks, I lost it. I literally fell on the floor laughing hysterically. And when I say hysterically, I mean full-on Joker-style laughter. On the surface, she probably thought I was laughing at the idea that I'd be unfaithful, but really, I was just laughing at the sheer irony of it all playing out right in front of me. I was pounding the floor, tears streaming down my face, laughing for a solid 2 minutes before I pulled myself together. Then I looked her in the eye for the first time in months, shook my head, didn't say a word, stood up, brushed myself off, kissed the top of her head, and went about settling in for the night. Later, sitting in my office, I thought, you know what? Let's see what she's telling P. Fired up the spy app, and sure enough, they were texting in real time. She told him, I know he's cheating on me. I asked him tonight, and he literally laughed in my face, fell on the floor laughing for like 5 minutes. He doesn't even care how I feel anymore. I don't know why, but he's gone. I've lost him. This is karma. I know it. The smile on my face reading that? Probably looked like the Cheshire Cat. Sue was breaking down. P tried to comfort her, saying that if I cared about her, she wouldn't have come to him for what I wasn't giving her. But from how she responded, I could tell she was starting to doubt herself. Can you believe she had the gall to cheat on me because I couldn't fulfill my role as a husband due to a legit injury, and then keep the affair going for nearly a year? But the thought of losing me to another woman made her hesitate. What a weakling. Meanwhile, I was moving on with the second part of my plan. In September, I met with a family lawyer to start divorce proceedings. I had a mountain of evidence showing Sue's cheating, and since New York is a fault state for divorce, I was confident I could pin this on her. My lawyer told me to get my finances in order for the asset division. I went one step further. I secretly pulled all my money out of our joint account and put it into my own. I also started looking for an apartment. That was phase 2. Come November, I didn't change my act. In fact, I stepped it up. That's when my friend Nina came into the picture. For context, Nina and Sue were never close. I met Nina back in freshman year of high school, 2 years before I met Sue. Sue always saw Nina as a threat, my closest female friend, and there's been this silent, unspoken distrust from Sue's side. On the flip side, Nina never liked Sue much either. Early on, Nina told me Sue was kind of forcing herself into our little friend group, which annoyed Nina because she knew Sue had a reason for it. Even now, Sue's circle has no male friends except P, while Nina is the only woman in my friend group. Nina had been stuck overseas because of COVID, but finally got back to New York City on November 3rd. To celebrate, Oz, Joey, Nina, and I planned a small get-together at Joey's place, just 5 of us, following CDC guidelines because we take the virus seriously. Nina, always the mastermind, came up with a plan to mess with Sue. She suggested we take some photos mimicking those I found of Sue and P months earlier and post them on my Facebook. That's exactly what we did. Sue didn't find out until the 5th, when a few friends saw my posts and noticed how close I was with Nina. That really messed with her head because she still thought I was cheating. I'm pretty sure she wanted to accuse Nina but knew she had been stuck in Europe most of the year. Still, that night, Sue confronted me about being handsy in the pictures. I saw my chance and landed a perfect jab. What about your pictures with P from last year? He was pretty handsy in those. Did you see me lose it over that? That was the first time I even mentioned P's name. Sue was caught off guard. She hadn't known I saw those pics, since I rarely post on Facebook. When I do, it's a big deal to people. That's why the pictures with Nina got so much attention. Her explanation was weak. He's like that with everyone. He's just a friendly guy. I get how it looks, but there's nothing there. Sorry if those pics hurt you. I'll delete them. I told her. No, it's not the pictures that hurt me. It's the fact that you've been screwing around for a year, lying about working late and hanging with friends. But like Lieutenant Commander Worf from Star Trek, The Next Generation said, vengeance is a dish best served cold. After that night, Sue was annoyingly clingy and overly affectionate. She tried initiating intimacy, but I stonewalled every chance I got. Meanwhile, I kept saving everything she said to P. By then I was numb. Any hope I had for saving our marriage died the day I started my plan. She told P that I'd gotten worse, that she didn't know what to do, and that she felt like I hated her. Then she dropped the bombshell. She couldn't see P anymore. The guilt was crushing her, and she felt like karma was suffocating her. She said she couldn't risk losing me. She told him she loved P deeply but was still in love with me and had to save our marriage before she lost me for good. Sorry, but sweetie, you're about 8 months too late. P lost it, telling her, I don't love you like you love me. You're making a mistake. You can't just throw me away like this. That was the last time they talked until about 3 weeks ago. For the rest of November into December, Sue was stuck in limbo, trying to figure out what I was thinking and still unsure if I was actually cheating. Meanwhile, P kept blowing up her phone, but she wasn't replying. I saw her checking her phone a lot but putting it away fast. Phase 2 of my plan was complete. The divorce papers were ready. I'd found a studio apartment in Co-op City, a neighborhood New Yorkers will know, and signed a 2-year lease. All my money was in my personal account, and I was ready to throw the knockout punch. Thanksgiving rolled around. My oldest son and his girlfriend hosted a small family gathering, just immediate family. My oldest, his girlfriend, her parents, she's an only child, Sue, and our youngest son. We had a great night. The girlfriend is training to be a chef and did all the cooking herself. Let me tell you, she can really cook. I had to keep up appearances like nothing was wrong between Sue and me, so I initiated affection several times that evening, kisses on the cheek, little hugs, wrapping my arms around her shoulders from behind. She noticed, and she liked it. Keep in mind, that was the first time I touched Sue since the night she confronted me in October. Almost 2 months. Honestly, I felt disgusted doing it, but I couldn't risk blowing my cover. If I stayed distant around our boys, my oldest son's girlfriend, and her parents, it would raise red flags. Later that night, our youngest son decided to stay over at his brother's place. On the drive home, Sue thanked me for being good to her and said, I don't know what you're going through, baby, but I'm here for you. I had to hold back maniacal laughter and told her, I know, I just need time. For the first real time since spring, we got intimate that night. I figured, screw it, might as well get some before I erase her from my life. I won't go into detail, but it wasn't love. When I finished, she was just a lump of flesh, trying to figure out which way the truck hit her. No cuddling or anything afterward. I got up, took a shower, and went to sleep in my office, left her confused. Oh, and for the first time in 20 years, I used a condom. She was definitely surprised but didn't ask questions. I sure wasn't going raw knowing she'd been doing that with P for months. The next day, I checked the spy app, and for the first time in weeks, Sue replied to P. He went full emotional, professing his love, saying she was wasting her time trying to rekindle things with me, that she'd been trapped in a prison for 23 years and deserved real love and affection. Keep in mind, this guy is 27 years old, 5 years older than our oldest son, and he was head over heels for a 45-year-old married mother of 2. What a catch. She responded pretty much the same as before, saying she loved him and enjoyed their time together but couldn't lose me. I was still the love of her life, but he'd always have a place in her heart. They could still be friends if he wanted, but the physical relationship was over. He begged to see her one last time that week, and yeah, she said yes. One more for the road. Who am I to judge? Of course, I added all that to the archive I was building. December 4th marked the start of Phase 3, the final phase of Operation Shinobi Ghost. Divorce papers in hand, new place set up, it was time to start moving my stuff out, but first, I had to tell my boys. I called my oldest home that Friday night. We sat in my office, and I laid it all out, not every detail, but enough to say their mom had been cheating on me for over a year, and that I was filing for divorce soon. My 17-year-old was especially shaken since he'd just gone through his own heartbreak when his first girlfriend cheated on him 4 months earlier. Seeing him heartbroken again, this time by his own mother, hit him hard. My oldest took it better and suggested his brother come live with him until things calmed down. I agreed. We packed some of his stuff, and he asked if I was going to be okay. I told him, "Yes, son. I'm going to be all right. And so are you. We'll be okay. I promise." Then they left. That was the hardest part done. Now it was time to drop the nukes. Over the next few weeks, Oz helped me move my most valuable stuff out of the house. I gave him a list of the important things to grab while Sue and I were at work, plus a spare key. None of it was stuff Sue would notice missing unless I told her. I got a new phone and number and gave it to everyone who needed to know: Oz, Joey, Nina, my boys, my sister, and my mom. Meanwhile, I kept up the act with Sue, giving her just enough affection to keep her off guard while she was still in contact with P. Not like before, but there was still an emotional connection. The fog was thinning, but it was still there. All the while, I was gathering every piece of data I could: call logs, texts, pictures, emails. I spent over $1,500 on supplies: printer ink, paper, binders, you name it. I cataloged everything from the start of the affair until just 2 weeks ago, 14 binders in total. Then I boxed them up, wrapped each box as a gift, and addressed them to various people: my mom, my dad, who passed 7 years ago, her parents, her 2 sisters, her brother, and her human resources department. Oh yeah, did I mention P works at the same company as her? There's a strict no fraternization rule there because of what she does. I also sent copies to several of her friends and P's parents. On December 16th, they all got shipped out, set to arrive around December 22nd to 24th, just in time for Christmas. So here we are at Christmas Eve. Sue came home around her usual time. I don't know if she'd seen P. I'd stopped tracking her on the app on the 18th because I'd gotten all the info I needed. As usual, she showered, hung out with me for a bit, and I gave her what she'd been missing on the living room couch. Yeah, I'm a terrible human being. Then she went to bed. Since June, I'd been quietly preparing. Then, in the middle of the night just before the official launch of the new month, I woke up and took one of the 3 remaining binders, the one with the divorce papers taped inside the cover. I wrapped it up and placed it on my side of the bed with a note that simply said, "Merry Christmas." Next to it, I left my old phone and my lawyer's business card. Then I packed my most essential things, enough to fill 2 backpacks, and left the home I had spent 23 years in, for the last time. That, my friends, was exactly 1 week ago. Since then, I've been completely off the grid, gone, shadowed, ghosted. Sue's blocked me on Facebook, but strangely, she hasn't blocked me on everything, so I'm still keeping an eye on the fallout. It's honestly been glorious. The packages I sent out to everyone involved have arrived, and Sue is getting absolutely crucified. Her youngest sister tore her apart. Both her parents have condemned her, and my mom? She destroyed her with words so vicious, I didn't even know my mom had that mean streak in her. The things she called Sue were truly unforgivable. Sue's been frantically trying to find out if anyone knows where I am, but those who do aren't saying a word. On her Facebook feed, she's desperately trying to reach me, probably knowing I'm watching. But I'm not saying a single word to her without my lawyer present. That'll be the next time we share oxygen. Sue has no way to spin the narrative anymore. I exposed her to everyone who matters to her. A mutual friend, who works at the same company as Sue, told me she and the guy she cheated with are being put on administrative leave starting tomorrow. So yeah, chances are she'll be unemployed going into 2021. As for the last 2 binders, one is now with my lawyer as final evidence for the divorce. The last one? I stashed it in my storage unit, planning to burn it in Joey's fire pit once the divorce is finalized. Do I feel guilty about any of this? Not even a little. 23 years I gave to this woman. I wrote the story of our life together, the home, the family, the life I believed we both deserved. I loved her unconditionally. I never wavered, never strayed, never even entertained the thought of breaking my vows. When issues came up, I talked to her. We tried to fix them. But she chose to find comfort in another man's bed instead of coming to me and saying she was unhappy. She stepped out with some young punk who gave her the tingles. So no, I have no sympathy for what I did, or what she did. She can burn in hell for all I care. The worst I stand to lose is the house, a car, and maybe a couple $100 a month in alimony, though since the divorce is filed under adultery grounds in New York State, that might be waived with all the evidence I've provided. To me, she's dead. I'm never looking back. Quick edit: New York law doesn't automatically place fault, but under certain circumstances, which my lawyer confirms, my case qualifies. I'm meeting with my soon-to-be ex-wife and her lawyer tomorrow. Update: I tricked my cheating soon-to-be ex-wife into thinking I was cheating. Then, like some thermonuclear shinobi, I ghosted her and served her a Christmas surprise she won't forget. Christmas Day was the first full day in my new apartment. It's still a work in progress since I have more stuff to bring over, but it's starting to feel like home. My boys and the eldest's girlfriend came by. The girlfriend brought treats and cooked a nice meal. I got to talk with my sons like I hadn't in a long time. It felt really good. My big sister came too, bringing goodies and spending time with us. It was the first time she'd seen her nephews in almost a year. Having everyone around did me a lot of good. If I'd been alone, I probably would have drowned myself in booze. Around 8 p.m., everyone cleared out, and I went to hang out with Joey and his wife Claudia. We had some drinks and talked for a couple of hours before I headed back home. Then came a big moment. On December 29, 2020, midday, I got a text from Nina asking if I was busy that night. Of course I wasn't. We agreed to meet after work. She showed up, and we went to a nearby diner in NYC. Indoor dining was limited to 25% capacity because of the pandemic, but seating wasn't an issue. Once seated, Nina laid all her cards on the table. Honestly, I knew this was coming. She confessed she'd felt the same way about me since we were teenagers but never said anything because Sue swooped in first. For context, I've known Nina 2 years longer than Sue. She was the fourth point in my social square with myself, Oz, and Joey, the outcast raver kids in high school who didn't fit in. Nina had a weight problem and was diabetic. She was the heavy-set goth girl who was super cool but never caught any guy's attention, yet there was always chemistry between us. Now, Nina's a personal trainer and yoga instructor. She's the ugly duckling who grew into a beautiful swan, if I may say so. Long story short, once my divorce is finalized, we've decided to start seeing each other. And yes, I slept with her that night. Took her back to my new place, and we had a great time. Am I ashamed? Hell no. Nina's been a better friend than Sue ever was. That's not to say Sue wasn't my best friend, but in nearly 25 years, Nina's always supported me, even willingly stepping back from her own feelings so I could pursue Sue. That kind of selflessness is real love. I know some will say I'm just trying to justify sleeping with her. To me, it was the right decision, and I plan to explore what's next with Nina, fully committed. I'm in. I've scheduled counseling for the 17th. My first session is this coming Monday. I'm writing this as a form of therapy, a way to get my thoughts out clearly and practically. Despite everything I said before, today I went to see Sue. She's been out of the hospital for 4 days now, and believe it or not, it was Nina who convinced me I needed to see her. She said the only way I'd let go of the contempt I feel for Sue was to see her one last time, in her weekend state. So, around 6 p.m., I called Sue for the first time since I served her divorce papers. Her hello wasn't the bright and bubbly voice I'd known for over 2 decades. She sounded hoarse and weak. The moment she heard my voice, she started crying. It took almost 3 minutes for her to regain enough composure to speak. Before she said anything, I told her I was coming over by 8 p.m., and she agreed. It's about an hour to an hour and a half from my new apartment in Co-op City to my old home. I grabbed a bite from the local pizzeria and headed there. I arrived around 7:47 p.m. and she was already at the door before I pulled into the driveway. Seeing her, I could tell what her ordeal had done to her. She was noticeably thinner, the kind of unhealthy thin that looks like the walking dead. The first thing she did was try to hug me, but I stopped her cold. She got the hint, I wasn't there to console her, and backed off immediately. We went inside and sat in the living room. Almost right away, Sue told me she wanted to come clean about everything. She said she couldn't live with the guilt of what she did to me and the boys. From the day we signed the separation agreement, she spiraled into agony and guilt that led to her suicide attempt. Her friend, the one who called me from the hospital, had noticed her behavior and started checking on her. The doctors told her that if Sue hadn't been found just an hour later, she would have succeeded. Sue admitted she failed me as a wife. Falling for that POS was wrong, and so was not pulling back when she realized how deep she'd gone. She also apologized for sharing so many intimate details of our marriage and speaking ill of me to him. She said she never imagined herself capable of doing that, but she was. She believed in her head she was doing the right thing, but when she thought I was cheating, it hit her like a ton of bricks. The betrayal felt suffocating, and she had to get away. But by then, it was too late. She asked me when I stopped caring, and I told her the night she confronted me about cheating, with the fervor of someone who knew she had been cheating herself for months. That night, I lost all respect for her, and it steeled my resolve to carry out my plan. She told me that when she woke up Christmas morning and found the gift I left, she was over the moon, until she opened it and realized what I knew. She literally went mad and hasn't set foot in our bedroom since. She frantically tried to find out where I was, but when she asked on Facebook, friends and family started attacking her for what she did. She had no idea how everyone found out so fast. That's when I told her about the other binders. The look on her face was priceless. It all dawned on her, everything she'd been through, her friends turning against her, family shaming her, losing her job, it was all because of me. After that, she just went silent and shut down. I took a moment to use the bathroom. It was in shambles, the mirror broken, skincare products scattered, and the tub looked like it hadn't been cleaned since she was hospitalized. When I returned to the living room, she was weeping with her face in her hands. Honestly, I felt nothing. No anger, no rage, no pity. They say the opposite of love is indifference, and that's exactly what I felt looking at her. She looked up and said, expletive, everything up. I ruined us. I don't know what to do. I can't do this by myself. I told her she still had her family, her friend who found her, and our sons, but she didn't have me. She never would again. I came to give her closure from the ordeal she subjected herself to, but once I walked out that door, I wasn't looking back. Soon after, the topic of PA came up. She told me he reached out to her 2 days prior. They talked for a couple of hours, and she told him to move on, find a younger woman, and forget she existed. The rest of the conversation was Sue apologizing for betraying me and asking if this was really the end. I looked her dead in the eyes and said yes. It had been over long before I served the divorce papers on Christmas. That was my cue to leave. No more words were said. What else could be said? I left her sitting on the couch, closed the door behind me, got in my car, and drove home. It was 2:56 a.m. as I typed this. I needed to get it out while it was fresh. That's it. The saga of Sue is done. both 17, and I are scheduled for counseling in the coming weeks. Nina and I are still going strong, sticking to our plan to keep things under wraps until the divorce is final. I'm staying active, motivated, and looking forward to a future with a woman who has quietly cherished and honored me for decades. It's time to focus on the life ahead. This will probably be my last post for a while. Maybe I'll update once the divorce is official. To everyone who sent encouragement and well wishes, thank you. To those who praised my revenge plan, I honestly wish it never had to come to that. But if I had to do it all again, I wouldn't change a thing, except maybe doing more to PA than just getting him fired. And to the one guy who harassed me, saying I deserved it because I raped my wife, you're delusional. Get lost.